I was sent this. I'll be honest, I have no clue what to do with it. It's just here, hanging out, and I'm like, what do I do? If you are unaware, the last 48 hours on social media has been insane. And I'm here to talk about this because I've just been so down this Oscar season. I think part of it is not looking at the movies that I believe we should be looking at more, but also you have this Emilia Perez wave that has just hit us, and frankly, I think half of us, we don't know what to do with ourselves. Me specifically, I've sat here in this chair for days. I haven't eaten. That's a lie. Really, there have been numerous movies that have been through a couple of controversies as of late, and Dune Part 2 is just sitting here like, hey guys, look at me, I didn't do anything wrong. So we'll discuss those as we get further into the video, but I do want to start with what's going on with Emilia Perez, specifically what's going on with Karla Sofía Gascón. And this is something that, initially, when she got that first nomination, I was sitting back going, okay, wouldn't have been my choice, but it's fine. This isn't as, maybe stacked of an awards season as we have seen in recent years. And one thing I said positively about Emilia Perez is that the performances were the best part of the movie, by far. What was I going to say? The songs are? I mean, that's maybe one song I get. The other one that's nominated,
this is bad. This is very, very bad.
But okay, especially Zoe. Zoe Saldana, she gave maybe the performance of her lower budgeted career. I believe she's given some of the better blockbuster performances over the last several years. And she actually came out regarding this controversy that we're going to talk about and said, yeah, I'm disappointed. Who wouldn't be disappointed with all the dirt that people are finding on Karla Sofía Gascón? And it is funny, too, because I actually saw a couple of comments months and months ago where they accused Gascón of being racist and horrible towards groups of people, and I didn't really know what they were talking about, but others were replying to them, and these aren't baseless accusations because of the tweets that have come to light, but I saw people replying to those tweets and saying, stop being transphobic, you just hate her because it's a trans actor being nominated for an Oscar. And now that this is all happening, I'm going, well, that's also a crazy accusation to throw out, saying someone is transphobic because they are fully aware, I assume, of these tweets that people are finding from Karla Sofía Gascón that have come to light, become prominent, and I think there's a reason why they've become prominent. And, I've always been of the mindset, just to give you guys some transparency, I'm the kind of guy that when you find people said stupid stuff 10 years ago, and you're pulling it to light just because they're finally in the spotlight, so it's like, they're famous, time to take them down. I'm usually of the mindset of, we have to look at the context. Sometimes it's terrible, and yeah, there should be something in place, some sort of punishment for the things that they say. But there are other times they're pulling tweets from football players that they tweeted out when they were 15 years old. Do you know how many stupid people there are at 15 years old? If you're 15, you're awesome. But I'm going to be honest with you, your brain's not fully developed. Thankfully, I didn't do social media as much when I was younger. But man, if I did, the dumb things I would have said. And nothing like this. I'm just talking about I would have tweeted the lamest, cheesiest, corniest jokes. And I will go back to my Facebook sometimes because that's pretty much the only one I ever used. I did the other day. I tried to Photoshop an AT-AT in my front yard during a snow day, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I put it on Facebook. I got 1 like. And so I'm like, why did I do that? And you go back and you revisit the old things that you say all the time. You're like, man, I was so silly. But some people do that. They go back and revisit, and they're like, man, I'm saying very racist things. Maybe I should delete those. That's another thing about all these statements, right? She tweeted this out. You would think the PR team would, I don't know, maybe get rid of the tweets, tell Gascón to delete them. What are you doing? And here's the other thing. Karla Sofía Gascón, when these tweets were tweeted, that's not a kid tweeting these things. That's an adult. It's not being said in a joking manner. It's being said in a derogatory manner. These are legitimate issues that are being brought to light, and again, I'll talk about them here in just a second, but they're not good, folks. And I'm not calling for the Academy to rescind this Oscar nomination, even though get Emilia Perez out of here, that's my opinion. But you can't do that, right? That's not up to me. That's up to everyone else involved. But these are not good. But here's where all of this started, right? Karla Sofía Gascón came out and essentially made serious allegations against Fernanda Torres' team, so not specifically Torres, but of her team, and said, I have never at any point said anything bad about Fernanda Torres or her movie. However, there are people working with Fernanda Torres tearing me and Emilia Perez down. That speaks more about their movie than mine. And you've got articles coming out like Variety put up a headline that said Gascón did not violate the Oscar rules when she said people associated with Fernanda Torres were tearing me down. She's clarifying, I'm an enormous fan. I was referencing the toxicity and violent hate speech on social media that I sadly continue to experience. Fernanda has been a wonderful ally, and no one directly associated with her has been anything but supportive and hugely generous. Well, thankfully, Community Notes on Twitter said, actually, there were. If you go to that quote, it speaks for itself. She said the people of Fernanda Torres, her team around her, her group, her posse, her squad, whatever you want to call it, other people are going to interpret differently, obviously, with the Variety article, but this seems like a direct attack. Granted, saying nice things about her to start and then going into, well, the team around Fernanda Torres are saying bad things. And look, there are a lot of people on social media saying bad things about Emilia Perez. Trust me, honey, it has nothing to do with the trans representation in the movie. It has nothing to do with that. The movie is not good. I mean, that's just plain and simple. The movie is not good. You don't hate trans people because you don't think the movie is good. That has nothing to do with it. And it's such a stupid argument that people are making. It's like, oh, this movie is important. It is important and would be important if it was good. It's not good. And so I think that's part of the backlash that she was speaking of. But to go deeper than that and accuse Fernanda Torres' team, and by association Fernanda Torres, of spreading hate online, the I'm Still Here group, it's like, maybe there's a little bit of jealousy in there that I'm Still Here also got an Oscar nomination, where Emilia Perez was, we thought, going to be the only international feature to get in there. So I don't know what spawned those comments, but it was just a strange thing to say. Part of me looks at what Gascón said. I'm like, well, at least saying what's on your mind is important, but when what's on your mind specifically violates Academy rules, members should be mindful of the impact their public communications may directly or indirectly have on the promotion of a motion picture, performance, or achievement, as well as the awards process. And in the bullet points, share misleading or false information about a motion picture, performance, or an achievement. To say that her team was sending some of these attacks, to me, just reading it, that does violate the rules. Now, again, I'm not calling for anything. I'm just a guy reading what I'm seeing, but I think a lot of people are reading what they're seeing, and they're pissed off. So that was 2 days ago, all right? 1 day ago, things start to come to light regarding Karla Sofía Gascón. And here are the tweets that I am talking about. Again, I can't stand when people go back 10 years and try to pull somebody down when they are on top of the world. But there are times where these issues are valid. And if you look at some of these tweets, the things that are being said are like, what on God's green earth were you thinking? By tweet, seriously. What were you thinking? Karla Sofía Gascón has since shut down her X account, saying, I'm sorry, but I can no longer allow this campaign of hate and misinformation to affect me and my family. So at their request, smart family you got there, I'm closing my account on X. I have been threatened with death, insulted and abused and harassed, blah, 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 to the point of exhaustion. I have a wonderful daughter to protect, whom I love madly and who supports me in everything. This is not misinformation. These were tweets that were tweeted, and you were clearly not hacked. That's the other excuse people use. It's like, oh my God, I was hacked. Maybe you're a hack, but you weren't hacked. New attack in France. Beheadings in Nice by one of those, there you go, followers of Allah. How many times will we have to expel these madmen from Europe until we realize that their religion is incompatible with Western values? We do not learn. And so I try to be rational with things like this. There's a way to give an opinion, even if I heavily disagree with everything you're saying, but to give it in a way that makes you sound sensible and or smart, even if I disagree with everything you are saying. If you read that tweet and the way that it's worded, however your thoughts are on this subject, that is the worst way to ever tweet an opinion like that. I mean, come on. You've got to be smarter. Why do famous people do these things? I will never understand it. Like, I get pissed off. I go and argue with people about sports all the time. I am never going to say things about a group of people like that in that way. Like, what in the world were you thinking? Another tweet: Islam is becoming a hotbed of infection for humanity that urgently needs to be cured. Here's one: I truly believe that very few people ever cared about George Floyd, a drug addict and a hustler, but his death has served to highlight, once again, that there are those who still consider, oh boy, not even going to read that, without rights, and those who consider police to be murderers, they're all wrong. I just like, if you have a thought of that nature, to go and say it like that, in that way, on social media, to your followers that are supposedly, trying to take you seriously with your career, and to just shout to the rooftop these things that are just like so offensive. I'm not even a guy who gets offended all that often. I think stupidity is offensive. If you're dumb, that offends me. But to go and say these types of things like, what are you doing? What in the world were you thinking when you tweeted that? And then to say people are attacking you based on misinformation? Honey, the proof is in the pudding. Look at what's on social media and the now deleted tweets of the now deleted account. There's a reason they're deleted. Something was off. To take that a step further, a few years ago, there's a tweet found about co-star Selena Gomez saying she's a rich rat who plays the poor bastard whenever she can and will never stop bothering her ex-boyfriend and his wife. Co-star of Emilia Perez. What are we doing? What are we doing? What? Am I taking crazy pills? Why would you say those things? I don't care if that's how you feel. Why would you say them? Oh my goodness. It's just another example of someone not willing to take any responsibility of what was said on the social media platform that is everyone can go look at. I will never understand people that do these stupid things. And facing the consequences now. The Academy's unfollowed her. Her co-star, Zoe Saldana, like I said, came out and was just offended. And it's like, yeah, man, you can't. I don't understand. Any movie wouldn't want to be involved in this controversy, especially one that people already hate because of the quality. And so this madness has been going on for days and days now. And it's really affected Emilia Perez. Voting hasn't happened yet, folks. The Oscar voters have yet to vote on the movies they think should win these categories. And so how is this going to impact Emilia Perez? It will impact certain categories, specifically Gascon. I don't know what's going to happen beyond that if they could revoke. Who knows how far they'd be willing to go, but it's definitely going to be impactful. Now, to those saying this movie's going to win nothing still, it's got song, I'm not going to say in the bag, but song looks pretty good. I still think Zoe Saldana could maybe pull out a victory. We'll have to see, but there's now a large wrench being thrown in the plans of Emilia Perez, which, I'm not going to scoff at this movie not winning Best Picture, because frankly, I'll be really happy. Circumstantially, though, as much as I don't like the movie, I hate that this dumb or series of dumb mistakes is associated with any movie being nominated for Best Picture, because this is the time of the year where we're supposed to celebrate, get excited, look at the movies that impacted us most. And, I was already feeling crummy from as many nominations as Emilia Perez got as a film, but for this to take the limelight, hatred so strong, being that prominent on someone's social media page and, preceded by pulling in Fernanda Torres for some reason and be like, hey, you... What's your people doing talking about me? It's like, man, you can't do that. You just can't. And so this has become pure chaos, a chaotic series of events for a movie that is already the lowest rated Oscar-nominated movie of all time over on Letterboxd, and one of the lowest rated movies of the year that got any sort of nomination. Now, Emilia Perez is not the only film that's been shrouded in controversy. There's also a little bit of AI controversy with this movie. The film definitely utilized AI, and whenever you hear that, you're just kind of like, I'm not cringing as much as I'm cringing with everything going on the Karla Sofía Gascón side of things, because that's the most cringeworthy. But this is still like, okay, they're utilizing AI. Now, if you actually look into it, it isn't as extensive as it seems. And here's what I keep coming back to. We're getting onto these films for using AI because people have come out and said they use AI. How many of these other films in the conversation used AI in some form or fashion and didn't tell us? That's the real, like, all right, we're mad at what we are aware of, but I guarantee you some other movies that we love from last year did the exact same thing, just didn't come out and say it. The Brutalist is another movie that utilized AI. Now, that feels less extensive to me than other examples we've heard in the past, because it looks as if it's just used in some of the translation and a small form of dubbing. None of the English was actually affected, and people were getting on to Brody, and I'm just like, you've got to read it, man. You can get mad initially. It's like, oh, it used AI. But for the people boycotting the film just because of what it actually did, just use your brain. We have to think logically about these types of things. People hear news and they get so mad and offended. I mean, again, the Gascon situation, I get that. But seeing this and getting mad immediately, like Late Night with the Devil last year used AI. And again, it's dumb. I don't like when movies do it. But it's such a small thing, did not impact the other people involved with the movie and people boycotting the movie. I'm just like, guys, you have to think logically. Like, are critical thinking classes just not a thing anymore? Do they not offer them? We have to think about these things and look into it before the immediate backlash, because there's always immediate backlash with AI. Sometimes it's warranted. Most of the time, at least from what I've seen so far, it's not. And we have to look more logically. And so I don't think that's as big of a deal. The other controversy is Anora, the movie. From what I've read, everyone involved was okay with them not hiring an intimacy coordinator for the sex scenes. Mikey Madison and, Sean Baker said the same thing. And my thing is this. If Mikey Madison says that she feels comfortable, if she was not forced into saying that she feels comfortable, and she truly is able to do this without an intimacy coordinator, and I get that, right? It's okay, why did they not hire one? But if she says, then why? It's not us, it's her. I'm so sick of people trying to tell these actors, performers, how they need to operate. If she feels comfortable without one, they don't need one, okay? That's just, she's the one doing the sex scene. I don't understand what's the controversy? Now, if it came out down the line, she was forced to say that, yes, then it would be a big deal. It would be an issue. But again, it's a mind your damn business type of thing that we're saying here. What are we talking about? So a lot of these controversies for me have just been like, the push to tear down Fernanda Torres' team and insinuating that Fernanda Torres is, it's her team. There's an insinuation there. And regardless of what you say good about her before that, it's like, all of these tweets, they are so irresponsible, and they are just putting such a damper on what was already a bummer of an awards season. Just like, man, how do these movies get nominated? But to take it a step beyond just being upset about movies, which is, in reality, it doesn't matter. What matters is your health, your family, your friends, your success. That's what matters. Not liking a movie nominated for an Oscar, it doesn't matter. Okay, at the end of the day. But when you start getting into hatred and bigotry and just all of the things that spawn from that Twitter account, then it starts to matter. Then it becomes a bit more. And then people who are judging have a right to judge because of the way those things were said and the irresponsible nature of how those were tweeted out. And so, those are my thoughts on this fiasco, this controversy. And I know I probably didn't explain everything very well, but because I'm just meandering and I want to talk about this. But man, it's just fascinating that we've reached this point. Nominations could be pulled. Things could happen that alter the course of this Oscar ceremony. And I got to talk about that, man. we've covered the Oscars heavily on this channel, and whether you agree, disagree, love it, or hate it, you want Emilia Perez never to get another nomination again, I get that. We got to talk about it. We got to discuss it. And so I need, most importantly, from you all, your thoughts, your comments. How are you feeling right now? What the heck is going on? What world are we living in? And man, I don't know. What do I do with that Emilia Perez poster? What do I do with it? All right. Thanks for watching. We'll be back this week. We've got some Critics' Choice nomination reaction. We got some award ceremonies to cover. We got our Oscar predictions. We are in this swing heavily. Follow along, man. Share this video if you want to get this information out there, and be sure to subscribe because we've got a lot more to talk about. Hey, I'm talking my best movies of the decade very soon. Appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you later.